Shlama Lochon, welcome back to the Gabala podcast, everyone.
Shlama.
It's been a while. We have someone here overseas, Samantha, the founder of Shlama Apparel. And we have a guest of Samantha's behind the camera, Sage. Sage, you want to say hello?
Hello, I'm from Canada.
That's Sage. many words from Sage from Canada. But it's been quite chaotic because Samantha has literally landed in first thing this morning.
Just for this.
She
flies back out later after.
Yeah, I came for this and I'm going to fly back out right after.
We have the private security waiting outside for her to escort her back to Canada.
Sage is actually telling us to hurry up. She needs to get her out.
She's got her finger to the ear like the earpiece. She's finishing this podcast in 20 minutes. We're going to make a move. But yeah.
Hi, Mom.
But anyway, thank you for coming, Sam. It's much appreciated. Do you want to introduce yourself to the people? Maybe talk a little bit about you and what you do. Give some context.
As the founder of Shlama apparel or as Samantha Matti?
Both.
Yeah?
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Samantha Matti. I'm 22 years old and I'm the founder and owner of Shlama apparel. I founded the brand back June 7th, 2022. As I already mentioned before, I'm half Assyrian, half Filipino. My dad is Chaldean. He was born and raised in Baghdad, Iraq. And our ancestral village is actually called Omra. Not church, Omra. And we'd say we're Omraya or Omreita, which, for context, it's north of Zaho. So if people don't know what Omra is or Omraya, we just say Zahonai or Zahoneta.
It's easier to just say.
It is easier, yeah. My dad left Iraq when he was 19, and that was 1991. And he went to Turkey for 2 years, lived in a refugee camp, and then came to Canada in 1993. I know I'm going off about my parents,
that's
but
fine.
I feel like that's a central part of who I am. And then in either 93 or 94, they couldn't get the year exactly right, but in 1993 or 94, my dad met my mom in a Tim Hortons.
I was gonna ask the classic Canadian link-up.
No, I literally I think about this story and I'm this is the most Canadian love story ever. So basically, my mom was with her best friend, and my dad was with his brother, and my mom and her best friend walk in, and my mom's best friend knew my uncle.
Mom's best friend knew your uncle. Okay.
You follow?
I'm following.
Okay. So then they say hi to each other, and then my mom's best friend goes, "Oh, this is my friend Tessie," and then my uncle goes, "Oh, this is my brother Sam," because his name's Isam, but when you're talking to Nakhraya, you would just say Sam.
That's funny because my dad's called Wissam and he tells his colleagues to call him Sam as well.
Get out of here.
It's just easier, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's do you know what? Sam is fine. Let's
yeah,
just go with
and
Sam.
even to work colleagues, friends, I just say call me Sam.
Mm-hmm.
But with you guys, Assyrian people, I say Samantha. Even family, Samantha.
Is there a nickname for you? Because I know we were talking previously, and it's
Samantha, Sam. My grandma calls me Samo,
Samo.
but that's only for Nana. So
I can't call you. Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
noted.
Samo.
So Samo, the next. No, I'm joking.
Can I just say you guys are dripped out today?
Oh, this thing?
thank
What's
you.
that thing you're wearing on your?
Oh, this little sheen.
The
over
sheen,
here?
yeah.
I don't know, Sam. You want to talk about that? What's going on?
So these two t-shirts here are part of collection Tlatha, which for those of you who aren't Assyrian, Tlatha means Assyrian. So Tlatha means 3.
In Assyrian.
In Assyrian.
You were near, yeah.
Yeah, I almost had it
Tlatha
there.
is Arabic.
Gla is
Gla is.
We can get into dialect differences later.
Off camera.
Or on camera.
Arabic.
Anyway, so collection 3 consists of 5 colors. So in the t-shirts, it's an acid wash black, white, lavender, teal, and beige.
Even Sage is rocking in the back.
Yeah, I know. Sage has
She just
the
gave us a pose there
joggers
with
on, and she got them I think 2 weeks ago.
Fresh
And
fresh
then
shirt.
she wore them like on the plane.
Brochta, which
Hi.
means bless. Is it bless you?
Yeah.
Bless
Yeah.
your tracksuit set, basically. Which is just how we say it as Assyrians.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd give context.
Okay, back to my parents' story. Sorry. They dated for 5 to 6 years. I didn't get that much lore of like what happened in that 5 to 6 years, but like I do remember hearing stories as a kid of my dad used to be like the Tim Hortons bakery driver. So like one guy in my hometown owned like all the Tims in south of like my city, and like my dad was the driver like that delivered like all the baked goods. And I would hear stories about how like he would bring donuts like for my mom and stuff.
He's
like,
rizzing
after
them up
work.
with the donuts.
I need lessons from
So
him
then
for
like
the
my
Riz
whole
bitches.
childhood just consisted of like Boston cream donuts, which if you're Canadian, you know like those slap.
Is that the go-to Canadian treat or
Yeah,
delicacy
so-
of Tim Hortons?
Yeah, like essentially what it is, it's like a cream filled donut with like a chocolate glaze.
ganache. Is it ganache? Is that the word?
Ganache is
show
like
off my
too
term.
strong of a word.
Ganache.
I don't know.
It
Like
sounds a bit fancy.
it
I was
is-
trying to show off.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry.
because when I think of ganache, I think of like a rich chocolate. I don't think of like the chocolate that goes on like a Boston cream. Maybe I'll show you a picture.
We actually have a Tim Hortons down the road.
We do.
Is
It's
it
the
like-
first one ever in London.
Is it like Baja or like?
No, I mean,
You,
Actually,
you
I can
do
be.
it.
I can be the
Yeah,
judge.
well,
of
you
that.
can be the judge
We
of that.
can
You
on the
both can be the
stage.
judge
We
of
can
that.
be the judge.
should
of
we
that.
should we go there for dinner?
Let's
today?
go for dinner.
Ew, no, we didn't come here.
They came all the way from Canada to eat
To have
Tim
Canadian
Hortons.
food.
We won't do it. Sage just put her thumbs down. We won't
Thanks,
go
Mom,
there.
Mom.
Should we
Should we get on to the question?
let's do a quick fire, which I removed purposefully from
A quick fire.
quick fire round of questions. The first answer that comes into your head,
Do I have to say like yes or no or like?
You'll find out. You'll find
You'll
out.
find out, yeah.
You'll find out.
Okay.
Don't panic. I would if I was you, but don't panic.
I'll be nervous.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
But
That's not
purposefully left out of the questions that we sent to you as a prompt,
Okay.
just so we get the first answer in your head.
Okay.
Yeah? Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you sure?
You sure? Okay. I think she's ready. Bit
Okay,
nervous, bit
let's
shaky.
go. Alright, quick fire. Keleche, you like keleche?
So.
So.
Oh.
Okay, well you're gonna have to
We
answer
have to answer that, yeah.
this. Khurme or goze? So dates or
With walnuts.
Walnuts.
Okay.
Good answer.
It's a good choice.
Cuisines. Since you are
I know exactly what you're gonna ask.
Should we
from two different cultures, let's just say, Assyrian cuisines or Filipino cuisines?
Okay, can I add like an addition to that? Like once in a while
I
or
said
every
quick fire,
day?
Sam.
This is getting violent.
Yeah, I said quick fire.
Filipino. Oh my god.
Thanks for
Alright,
watching,
you
everyone.
just got a Filipino podcast then.
Hopefully we're done. No.
We're gonna wrap up this.
Yeah, I mean it was very short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see how it is. Let's move on.
It's
Let's move on.
healthier. Guys, you can't eat dolma every day.
Yes, we can.
You can't eat no.
It's not just dolma.
You can't eat pacha every day and
Okay, how about
and there's
this?
a maraca.
I'm gonna throw in a quick fire here, just an additional one. Your favorite Assyrian dish?
Dolma.
Okay, good.
What's your favourite Filipino dish?
That's hard.
Alice, I know what.
Pancit. Pancit's like Filipino noodles, like rice
Ooh.
noodles, and it's like a delicacy. Every time you go to like a Filipino party, like it's there.
I've seen in Filipino restaurants. I've only been to one, so I'm not like super versed in Filipino
I've
cuisine.
never been to one.
Yeah, but you have it at home.
Yeah. I
That's
know.
the homemade good stuff.
Yeah.
There's this purple sweet dessert. It's like, or they use
Ube.
purple. Is that what it's called?
Ube. Yeah.
Man, I had a cheesecake, like a ube
Ube.
cheesecake, and it was ridiculous. Ube is like, I've seen or noticed, at least in the restaurants here, that it's like a super popular Filipino ingredient. But I don't know if it's like commercialized or is it actually a really popular.
No, it is actually really popular. Like every time I go to get like bubble tea from my mom, I get her that flavor.
Okay. Well, do you like it personally?
It's once in a while. I wouldn't get
Occasionally.
it like every time. Like I'd get matcha every time.
Matcha's a shout, to be fair. Slow release caffeine. I'm going a bit off tangent here. Sorry, I was just curious
No,
about
it's good.
the dessert.
Filipino fried chicken is really good as well.
It is. It's just like really high in cholesterol.
So is a lot of Assyrian
I mean,
food.
so is a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like nothing we're not used to.
Guys, I like it as a maraca. Okay, anyway, go on. I just.
After you just said that Filipino cuisine's bad. But anyway, moving on swiftly. We go back to dancing, Assyrian dancing. Khigayakura or bagia?
Khigayakura.
Good answer.
If you asked me that a month ago, I would have said bagia, but like I recently mastered my khigayakura, and like me and my cousin, shout out to you. I'm not gonna say your name because of like privacy reasons, but shout out to you. You know who you are.
You know.
But me and my cousin, like we just go off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually seen clips of Sam at convention. You know when you go through the YouTube montages
Oh my
and
God.
it's like hours of footage. I saw Samantha and I think it was Heaven who would do Khigayakura.
Oh my goodness, Kate, and that was not even my peak.
That was
Heaven's
like
so good though.
I've seen a few of her videos on Instagram.
She is like a fiery energy. Like you want to do khigayakura with her. She's so good.
What now has made you feel like your Khigayakura is elevated? Like what is
The
different?
footwork.
Footwork.
More
The
energy,
footwork.
more footwork.
Wait,
Passion.
right now?
No.
The floor is
Dude,
yours.
am I gonna fit in the camera?
If we just
Yeah,
flip
but
the
like-
table.
We did it on purpose. You can move the table.
No, I did it on the couch.
Just stand up there. No, I'm kidding. We can show you. You can show us after.
Bye, bye,
You can
bye,
show
bye,
us.
bye.
Skits.
But-
Yeah, then.
Similar to Sam, actually, I've actually become a fan of Khigayakura. I used to be Bagia. We used to always talk about this. But ever since I've mastered the shoulder shimmy in unison with the footwork, like, and that's with Fadi, to be fair, when we go to the Assyrian parties in the UK, it's me and him normally in the first few 3-4 people in the Khigay line, and like,
Are they lit?
we're lit.
We're-
Oh.
No, I'm joking,
Wow,
I'm
way to
joking.
like gush yourselves.
No, I mean, it's coming up. I think years ago we didn't really have much of a party scene, but I think now Ikitu, shout out Ikitu, coming through recently. We're getting like better parties and like there's singers coming. We have one with Ramsan Shino in June.
Linda Georgia, Juliana, Jindu. She's gonna say neither and then give me a rogue.
A Filipino singer.
Yeah.
What if they watch this? I'm
Sorry.
just
Just so you know, Linda George actually is it Linda? Yeah, Linda George actually likes our content.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Yeah, Linda George. Like I listen to her. But no. Listen, I used to listen to her a lot when I was a kid. If you lay down a bit out.
Wow, she
Yeah.
dances.
You just stay longer so you can sing with Ramson Shino at the party.
True.
I'm in Joka.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
We'll
Do you know
get
what
onto
Joka
that.
means?
Yeah, choir.
Okay.
She
No,
does
because he
vocals.
didn't know what that meant.
I didn't know what Jonqa is.
Yeah, choir.
You know, I hear it in Assyrian or at least in English, but with an Assyrian twang, choir.
Choir.
Choir. That's what I was told. I didn't know Jonqa was choir
What
until you
about,
translated it to me.
do you say Sita Zamare?
Destin
Yeah.
Zamare.
Oh,
Destin
okay.
Zamare.
There we go.
Who says Sita's man? No?
Destin Zamare. Is another.
Either way, it's all right at the end of the day. It's fine. What's the
Alright.
next one?
Best Assyrian village.
Zaho.
Yeah, but that's ends. She's not gonna.
Yeah,
she's
come on.
say
I'm not gonna.
anything else.
Actually, no, I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay, why don't we do this instead? Apart from Zaho, we know that's your city, that's your town, right? You're representing the Zaho ends. But like outside of Zaho, what would you say?
I've never been to Iraq.
This is true.
Is true.
I
Was-
didn't go on Gishru. I'm sorry, Gishru team. I feel like I let so many people down.
You have.
Like
you never
no, listen, like so many people were messaging me saying like, "Are you coming?" And I'm like, "No."
Business. Who's gonna run the business?
Well, look, I mean, you can go next year, right? So, and I think we're planning on hopefully going next year. So.
And like I have to go next year because I can't go in 2026.
Okay, so then that's the plan.
Yeah.
We're going
You've
next
committed now.
Now I'm
That's
committed.
It's gonna be on
cut.
video,
It's going
so-
in the cut, so.
Baba, holy bizarre Iraq.
year. Thank you, Baba.
And the last one, chai sada or kawa.
Qawa.
Why Kawa?
Because like chai sada, I only drink like when I'm sick.
Fair enough. What is it? The Sada was Shika or no Shika?
It depends on the vibe.
I feel like you have a bit of a sweet tooth because the way you took your coffee.
No, I sometimes take it black, like in gatherings. But if I'm sick, I'll have like a peppermint tea with like honey.
Peppermint. Am I immature or am I just not like? Does peppermint not taste nice?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of mint tea, I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe
You can have it. It's not a problem, you know. But
We're just judging you big time.
okay, that's quite
Hey,
harsh.
maybe it's maybe North Americans just like peppermint tea more.
Maybe it's a thing. I mean, I like fresh leaf if it's like the fresh mints.
When we go to America, my mum brings tea with her
Really?
because she doesn't trust American tea.
Oh.
Well, the thing is, PG Tips is like iconic British or Yorkshire tea is really good.
Best.
But it's like iconic UK tea brands, whereas America's like Lipton, which is disgusting.
It's disgusting. Oh, maybe we gotta save some room in our.
We'll give you guys some
carry-ons.
tea bags to take away.
Okay, I'll let you know how I like them.
If airport security questions it, just tell them it's
Nothing-
British tea.
nothing
Nothing
to
to
do with
worry
us.
about. They'll get it.
Why would they question it?
I know it's a bit sus to have like loose tea bags in your suitcase.
But it's
No,
superior tea.
this is true.
Correct.
They will be British security as well, so
Oh
maybe
my
they'll let you
goodness.
slide.
Fun fact, guys. I have a Filipino aunt who married a British guy, but he passed away when I was 12.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you. But she'll actually be a fan of this tea if I like bring it to her.
It's very popular.
best tea.
Yeah.
It's like I think the main British politics outside of Rishi Sunak, I won't go into that, but outside of the political sphere of the UK, the second most important subject is the battle between Yorkshire Brew and PG Tips. So maybe we'll get you both some from the supermarket, and then
Okay.
you can sample it and
Okay.
let the people know. 'Cause
And you'll
that's-
decide that Yorkshire tea is better.
I actually prefer PG Tips, but I won't get into this. This is going to be a heavy debate. This is about Sam today.
It is about Sam.
So,
And the Assyrians.
and the Assyrians, most important.
Not about the English.
And I think going in, should we get to know Sam a bit more?
Let's get to know Sam a little bit better.
So in terms of, we have just a couple of questions that we kind of wanted to, run by you. We've sent them to you just so we haven't given a surprise for Sam. She knows what's going on.
Curveballs.
But essentially, like, one of the first things we wanted to understand was how is it growing up in a Filipino and an Assyrian community? Because two very different cultures. I guess there's some similarities in some respects and differences, but like it'll be good to understand how was that for you growing up and how is it now?
So it wasn't till I turned like 6 or 7 where I like saw culture. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
prior to me like turning 6 or 7, like I kind of just saw like this is my babu and this is my mom. Like I never saw like, oh, he's Assyrian, he's Filipino. These are two different cultures. Like my parents are my parents, and like I didn't see a difference until I went to school and like started to like mingle with the other Chaldean kids. I think one of the things that caught my eye was I couldn't talk to any of my relatives, or not any of my relatives, that's kind of a stretch. I can't communicate with my grandparents because they don't speak English, and I didn't really realize that until like grade 1, so that's like 6 years old. And then I would get picked on for not knowing Surith, and it's like, well, that wasn't my choice. Like I just was brought up in an English speaking household, and even when I would go to like haflas and like family gatherings, like I'd just be like, oh, this is my family, and like I talk to some people, I don't talk to some people. My dad's younger sister, so like my aunt, when I was a kid, she was in high school at the time, and she was the person I would always resort to. Like I would go to the park with her, I would have movie times with her. Like it was sort of like, okay, like these are my people, like this is my inner circle, until like I got older and like again like being picked on for like not knowing Surith, and then like not having that like dialogue with my grandparents. What really helped though was like my aunt, Antoinette is what like I used to call her. She would be like my translator. She'd be like, oh, like Nana's asking you this, and I'd be like, oh, just tell her this, and so that's that side of the family. And oh, sorry, going to church. So both my parents are Catholic, but like I had Chaldean church and I had English church. So, and even like Filipinos, like they don't really pray in Tagalog because, or at least my family doesn't, because English is like the second national language of the Philippines. So like my mom prays in English, my aunts pray in English. Like, it's not... Anyway, I thought I'd just point that out. So growing up, every Sunday it would be like, in the morning, English church, and then like at night, Chaldean church. And it would be like, okay, in the morning I can understand what's going on, and then like at night, literally nothing. Like, I would just like sit there. And my sister would be like one of those kids that would like sleep like on the pews. And
Good place to nap, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it is. And like sometimes Raza would go from like 8 to 12 or like 7 to 9, and like I was just sort of like a good time for her to like nap.
It's a very, very spiritual Sunday for you, having to go to church twice.
Yeah, no, it's a good time. And
would your mum come in the evening as well, or would you go separately
Yeah.
with your mum in the morning and your dad in the evening, or would they both
no,
come together?
my mom would come with us.
Oh, but your dad
Oh,
go in
nice.
the morning with your...
It's very Assyrian. of you,
Yeah,
right?
I took
That's not what
Go,
we're
go, it's fine. Well, I mean, to be fair, like, I don't think my dad can pray in English. Like,
Okay.
he can only pray in
In
Surat.
Surat.
But then my mom can't pray in Surat, so it's like, she kind of gives, like, one step forward, like, more. Like, she gives more, but I think she just did that so that we'd feel, like, more comfortable, like, in church and stuff.
Definitely.
However, as a kid, like, I feel like you pick up songs or hymns, like, really easily. So, like, although I couldn't pray, like, I knew all the songs. And I remember, like, joining Joka, like, which, by the way, I told them I'd shut them up. Shout out to Rana, Miriam, Sandy, and Danila. I literally love you guys.
Shout out all those people she just listed. I don't know who they are, but
No,
shout
because
out all
I
of
literally
them.
love them. I love Joka.
We love them too. Me and Kylie.
Oh, and shout out to Shmasha Abram. Do you know who that is?
Shamasha Ebram?
No.
I don't know.
It's my grandpa.
Your grandpa?
Oh.
My jiddo.
Thank you,
Shout
Shamasha,
out.
for sending Samantha over here. It's much appreciated. Um,
Can you speak?
Sure.
Yes.
Surat and...
بس خدشة.
Was it
Tagalog.
Tagalog?
So, Tagalog's hard. I'll get into that.
You just said hard in the strongest Filipino accent I've ever heard. Hard.
Is that how they say it?
Yeah.
I don't think I have a Filipino accent, because I tell my mom all the time, like, it's thick.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear it from, like, a mile away. And, like, I remember talking to this, like, elderly woman, and she was telling me, like, oh, I came to the States when I was, like, 15. But, like, this girl's accent was, like, thick. So, like, once you go to the Philippines and, like, come back, like, the accent's just, like, with you forever.
I was gonna say, just to go back to the point about going to choir and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say, it's incredible that, you know, from how young you are to go to a church that, you know, does the Raza and Surat, and not to understand, to now going to choir and singing in Surat. Like, that's such a big improvement in, like...
It's a journey.
Mm.
It wasn't always like that. So I kind of brought up how, like, as I got older, like, I started to see culture a bit more, and I started to see the divide, and I started to, like, recognize that there were some family members I couldn't talk to, and, like, again, I would get picked on for not knowing Surat, and, like, kids would say stuff to me, and I'd be like, sorry, like, I don't know what you're saying. And then I went into high school, and guys, don't hate me for this, but I was sort of ready to, like, not have anything to do with, like,
Should I?
being Chaldean, like, basically. Like, there was a point in my life where, like, that was something I didn't want to be associated with, just because, like, all the things that, like, made up me being Chaldean, like, were just not in my favor. Like, for a really long time, I didn't really feel like I belonged, or felt like I belonged.
And is that from, like, just the fact that you couldn't speak Surat, or was it the experiences you're having in school where people wouldn't necessarily make you feel not welcome, but I don't know, it's almost a bit of a mockery, like people make fun of the fact that you don't understand Surat. I had that as well when I was younger in school.
And, like, the fact that I'm not, like, pure, like,
fully Assyrian.
like, fully Assyrian, like, it was always that, like, feeling like a stranger in your own community, like an outsider in your own, like community and family.
Like a black sheep kind of thing.
Like a black sheep. I think speaking Surat was like one of the reasons, like because like of the communication barriers, but it's also I don't know, it wasn't fun like growing up.
Do you still feel like you don't feel fully Assyrian?
Oh, I mean, I love both my cultures now, like thank God, and like I have a better sense of belonging now. I just didn't come from a background of like always loving to be Assyrian and like always like loving like who I was. It was sort of like, okay, this is like these are the circumstances of my life, and there will come a point where I get to choose whether or not I want to associate myself with Chaldean people or associate myself with Filipino people, and like when that time comes, I'm just gonna cut everyone out and just be me. And that was all throughout like high school pretty much.
Well, it's kind of crazy you say that, because now, I mean, this is kind of going more into the Shlama apparel side. Like you're probably thrown in like the depths of the Assyrian community or online community, because I feel like that's how we all connect, right? So you're looking at the online community, you're looking at all these events that youth have, you know, whether you're going to convention, for example, like you are in the center of it, because your brand is sort of spread amongst these Suraya, and like it's very admirable that, you know, you've had this journey figuring out how much of an Assyrian you are, trying to get into the culture more and trying to embrace it, to now like running your own brand that's purely Assyrian, like, you know, Shlama apparel. It's all pushing, you know, the language, and I guess
the identity.
Yeah, the identity and like just the patriotism to do a brand like this is really admirable. So like, how have you found it now? I guess running this brand Shlama apparel and like the Assyrian community in space, has it been a very welcoming space? How have you found your brand being accepted by people?
I definitely do feel like a sense of belonging now. Like it's not like before when I was a kid. It was like, oh, like I'm a stranger in my own community. No, it's like now I have that. What's the word? Like wherever I go now in the world, if there's like an Assyrian population and like I say, oh, like I'm Shlama apparel, they're very like welcoming about it, and like they're very like excited, and like they say, oh, like what's your story and stuff. It's a very like welcoming feeling, I think, and like I do get the appreciation from like my audience, even if they don't buy anything. Like it's Shlama apparel is not about owning clothes. It's about spreading this vision that I want us to live in a world where everyone knows who the Assyrians are.
That was great. That was beautiful.
I love that soundbite. That.
Yeah, that's going to be a reel of its own. That was really good.
That is incredible. Content.
No, I'm kidding. And it's beautiful that, like, I don't know, just like what you said there is incredible, and it speaks volumes about like how passionate you are about your brand and like how well received it is by people. Like there's loads of friends of mine, even when I'm rocking this, there's Nakhraya in London. They'll be like, yo bro, like what, that's a sick tee, where'd you get it from? Like remember when I made some content with my brother and his friends? Yeah. They were Nakhraya at the skate park that I was filming at, coming up and saying like, oh, that's a sick brand, like what's that, like mystical symbol? I'm like, no bro, it's a letter.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
It's a letter.
It's a spell?
It's a spell.
No. And like, I guess, what was the reason, I guess leading on, like people asked me what it was, and like I just said, oh no, Sheen for Shlama. Like obviously that's my very flat or like two-dimensional understanding of it, right? But what made you want to call it Shlama apparel? Like what was the kind of process behind the name?
Okay, I'll get into like the quick story. So it was summer of 2021. I was in the car with my best friend Stella and her sister.
Hi Stella.
And her sister Sarah, and we were like on a late night drive, and I was just like expressing my anger on like how nobody knows who the Assyrian people are, yet we've contributed like so much into history. And I'm thinking like, okay, like how could I start this like dialogue with people who aren't Assyrian about like educating them who we are. And I'm thinking like dialogue, okay, we say Shlama Lochon, and Shana back, and it's like Shlama apparel. Like that's how we greet one another, and that's the beginning of our dialogue between like you and me, or like me and Fadi, or like any other Assyrian person. And it's like, what if we did that with everyone? What if that was the way we started a dialogue with like non-Assyrians, like educating them on who we are? Because, okay, this is how it played out in my head, like the first night. So pretend I'm in the Kharaya and you're Jason rocking the t-shirt. So I'm walking on the street and then you're shooting with your brother and his friends, and that guy goes, oh, like, what's that? And you go, oh, like, this is Sheen. And then I go, well, what's Sheen? And then you're going to explain to me, oh, it's the first letter to spell the word Shlama. And then I'm going to go, okay, well, what's Shlama? And you're going to say, oh, it's peace, but it's the way Assyrian people greet one another. And then I would go, like, what's an Assyrian? And then that's when
That's amazing. Yeah.
the next answer, like, you would describe what an Assyrian person is. And then, like, in that moment, like, one extra person in this world knows who an Assyrian is.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a good concept.
That is so cool.
And, like, I'm a firm believer that the little things add up.
Mm-hmm.
And that little interaction right there is, like, how we're going to revive our identity over time.
I've got a story actually. So I got one of the hoodies, and then
Okay.
so obviously it's the black hoodie. It's got the red sheen on there, and like Shlama apparel. And I went to church, so I go to an English church sometimes, and then I have a lot of friends there. They're like, "Oh, what's that?" Like trying to see what's Shlama, everything. And I explained to them, it's a friend from Canada. She's got her own brand. She's Assyrian, and like Shlama is peace in Assyrian. He goes, oh, I've heard of the Assyrians. I'm like, yeah, like Old Testament, whatever. We're in church, so everyone knows kind of the Old Testament.
Yeah, they reference it from the Bible.
So he goes, yeah, okay, we had a brief chat, finished there. 2 weeks later, I rock up. The guy comes up to me. Church is started at this point, and we're like halfway through like the service, and he's talking to me about all his research he's done on Assyrians.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, and then King Nebuchadnezzar, and then what he did with throwing Daniel into the lion's den, and like telling me everything about the Assyrians, and I'm like, you really did your research, haven't you, man?
That's a dub for And it's like, it's so amazing when you get that reaction from the Khraya, like non-Assyrians, you know, when it comes to like you explaining it, they kind of go back into their research and stuff. Like a similar experience when I was working at Pot Gang, and like you know, I talked briefly about my ethnicity, where I'm from, some context. Oh, I'm going to Iraq, and you know, in March for Khamnisan. Came back the next day, he was like, oh, I was looking at Erbil, like, is that like the main city? And then you go to the villages like Nala and Al-Qush. And I was like, bro, no way this guy's like clocked all of this stuff purely through a simple conversation. I think like non-Assyrians get really interested and fascinated by our culture, because it's interesting, like, especially from like people in churches and stuff.
Yeah.
We're referenced quite a lot in the Bible. And you know, unfortunately we were the Ninevites who rebelled and had to repent a little bit. But yeah, thanks Jonah for coming through.
Hey, but now we have Balta.
Yes,
exactly,
we do.
which is great. So that's why we give thanks to Jonah for coming through and getting eaten by a whale. But I'm going a bit off tangent here, to be honest. But
It's okay, we've gone on like 5 tangents.
It's good though.
we're here
It's
for
good.
tangents.
It's good here for tangents.
What's on the list, sir?
She answered a lot of the questions that I was asking.
All right, thanks everyone.
No, but-
no.
I want to know. We're going to go back to the family dynamics and back at home.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you said your mom's got a really thick accent and your dad's got a thick accent.
Okay, like,
How is
no,
it like?
I didn't say that. I said Filipinos have thick accents.
Yeah.
Which, okay, to be fair, when I was a kid, I like didn't hear my mom's accent a lot, and then like some of my friends would be like, "No, your mom has an accent," and I'd be like, "No, she doesn't." And then YouTube started pumping out like Filipino content, and like now you've got like girls from the Philippines like making vlogs and whatever. And then I started to hear her accent, and I'm like, oh, this is what people were talking about. My dad, I personally don't think he has an accent either, although some people may argue otherwise, but they don't have thick, I personally don't think they have thick accents.
Fair enough.
So they speak English at home?
Yeah.
I was gonna bounce back to something related to like Assyrian brands and stuff, but I don't know if you have a question that you do.
No. I want to talk about Shlama and Assyrian brands.
Like, and this is a bit off the dome, is what they say. Like, just something in the head. But like, how is it like in the Assyrian fashion or clothing brand space? Like, because I feel like recently I've been seeing a lot more brands sort of surface and like newer ones sort of come into play. Like, what's the sort of community like as a whole, from like brand to brand relations? Because you all have the same intentions in the sense of like wanting to raise awareness about our culture and identity. Like, what's the relation and the dynamics like across other brands?
It's nice that we all have like the same mission and vision in like reviving our culture and kind of like preserving, like, again, our culture and identity and stuff. In terms of relationships, I don't want to say I'm well connected, because I'm like, okay, maybe there's some people I haven't met yet. I definitely know a handful of them. I don't know everyone. I know the second I talk to them, though, like, it's like we already knew each other. It's really, I don't know how to describe, you know when you meet someone for the first time and you're like, oh, it feels like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
I felt that way last convention, actually, because convention was actually where I got the opportunity to meet a lot of like Assyrian brand owners, and we just like connected, like we just clicked like on a different level. I don't know, we just like understood one another, and I know for a fact, like, if I hit up any one of them, like, it would be like as if no time has like passed. I don't know.
I think the fact that you all have sort of mutual goals opens an opportunity to kind of communicate and work across each other and just have like conversations amongst each other. Like, you know, you're both trying to raise Omta like at the end, which is super important. And like, I think there's a couple brands that I found personally, and I'll say the names of these brands that I really think are doing great stuff. Like Shlama Apparel, without a doubt, like working with organizations like Shlama Foundation to contribute profits towards them. It's very admirable. And like, we were having this conversation today, like, I would love to see all the brands contributing towards, you know, organizations in our community, especially if we're trying to sell our culture and sell our ethnicity and identity. Like, I think as brands, we owe it to our communities to give back. And like Ancient as well. I know Melinda did a recent drop for the Bakhdeda fundraising, and like, it's just like things like that I find really admirable. And this is not really a question, but more of a statement. I think like all the brands should really, like, and obviously I don't know what they're doing privately. Like, you know, they may well be donating, contributing to communities, but I think we should be doing a lot more of that as Assyrian brands. And I think, I don't know, I feel like you and Ancient are sort of carrying the flag in that respect. So I just wanted to give you the props, and like Melinda, she's watching this as well, like props to you both, because it's a really good, you're leading by example. And if other organizations, and if any of our brands are sort of doing the same thing, then my hat's off to them. I just think it's a really important thing. And I just wanted to give you props for that.
Thank you.
So, and like, how does that come about? Because obviously Shlama Foundation, like the names are matching up. So obviously there's a natural sync there.
That was a huge coincidence. Like, I remember, how did this happen? I was looking for charities to donate to. I literally typed in Assyrian charities like into Google, and that was one of the first hits I got, and I was like, whoa, their logo is like the same as mine. And I remember initially emailing them, and I'm like, this was so unintentional. Like, I did not mean to call my...
Please
don't
sue me.
Please don't sue me for copyright. And I think they believed me too. Like, they were like, okay, like, this girl, like, she just wanted to call it Shlama Apparel.
She's cool. She's
just give us all your profits.
Yeah, no. Sorry, what were we?
How did
that kind of build, or that relationship formulate?
So, Daniel Shakwana, like one of my influencers, his cousin, I don't know if he's still like one of the board members now, but at the time he was one of the board members, and he reached out and said, hey, like, I know the owner of Shlama Apparel, like, she wants to pitch to you guys about like what she can offer. And I remember sending the initial email. I got the email back. I was so excited. I hopped on a Zoom call with them, and like I prepared this whole like PowerPoint thing on like why I like want to help, and like how we can kind of like exchange value propositions, and like they were really nice. Mm-hmm. I actually got to meet one of the board members prior to the Gishu trip in 2023. So not this Gishu trip, last Gishu trip.
Okay.
Oh, this is funny. Okay, so shout out to you, Anthony, for bringing my brand to Iraq.
Yeah,
I'm shouting out so many people because I'm like...
Anthony from Detroit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm shouting out so many people because I'm like, I couldn't have done this without like all these people that I'm like listing out. What happened? Stella and I, we drove all the way from London to Detroit to drop off like Shlama apparel like to his house because he was willing to like give it to all the models like in Iraq and like shoot pictures, and it was just and then that was the day I met one of the board members like of Shlama Foundation, and she was really nice. It
was funny because I remember that trip because we were on that trip. There was just like an injection of Shlama apparel merch when I was there. I was like, the first day everyone's chilling in their regular clothes. The next day I just see half the group. And I'm like, where did these t-shirts come from, bro? I'm like, this is crazy.
The Shimsha.
And yeah, exactly. I know how come you wore the Shlama apparel for Kullen. And like, it was really funny. I remember like loads of people we'd be checking out the sites and like certain villages and stuff, and then they'd be like, all right guys, we just go get a couple snaps real quick on the site. And you see Anton and Anthony and I think Sarah Eshaw was rocking it as well. There was a few, there was a few people to be fair. So yeah, it was quite funny to see like this injection of Shlama apparel just like course through the group very slowly.
Suddenly everyone looks so much more attractive in these
and like the colours and stuff are really like distinctive, and I don't know, it's a very simple minimalist brand which I'm like a fan of. Like I always say to Fadi, like I don't like heavy branding, and like this is like a really subtle way to rock it, you know.
And I want to maintain that. Like I don't see my aesthetic kind of deviating out of the minimalism, not for the near future at least. Maybe like in a couple of years from now when I like have more time to learn how to design things, but I really like the minimalistic like aesthetic of like, and just changing the colors, just because it's like, how do I say it, it's easy on the eye. Like someone can just look at the sheen and go, oh, like, what's that? It's the first thing you see.
Yeah, brand identity.
Yeah, like Assyrian Nike.
Assyrian Nike.
Oh,
Nike.
Nike.
How do you be a Suraya and say Nike? American and Canadians say Nike, which I've noticed. We say Nike.
Nike is actually...
Is it the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, what they wanted.
Really? Yeah. Well, they didn't get it here, mate. We say Nike, but you guys say Nike. Or it's like, I'm trying to think of another thing. We were outside the car, and I thought something was in the boot. And then Samantha was like, what did you call that? And I'm like,
trunk.
The boot. She was like, you mean the trunk? And I'm like, no, I mean the boot. That's what I mean.
Our English dialects are different, and our Surat dialects are different. So like, do you want to add more the Arabic dialects?
Well, we are English, so our English is correct. And I say this to every single person I talk to.
And also, I just want to fire some shots at the Toronto man. Because these
I'm
lot
not
try.
I'm
not saying. Yeah, but I'm not saying it.
If your mom's in the hood.
Yeah. Because like the slang and the lingo, they use the same. I know it originates from Patois, but like it sounds like they're trying to be Londoners, and they're like, "Yo, mom, like fam, what are you saying, bro? A lie straight? You're gonna bust me fair, bro? Blah 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 blah." There's one guy I always make fun of from Canada, Hidra. If you're watching this video, I'm making fun of you because she always says she's from Toronto, so I just mock her every time.
Your mom's in the hood. That's
your mom's in the hood video is so good. And yeah, just gunning for Toronto there, casually. I'm trying to think of my question I was going to ask you. It's in relation to the future, because you briefly brought that up, right? I'm not asking for your 10-year business plan of the future. Like, it's more just...
Not the 5-year one either.
Not the 5-year, not the 1 year. But just, I guess in general, like, what's the sort of direction that Shlama Apparel is planning on taking? Like, is there anything sort of bigger than the clothing line, or is it just focusing on, you know, hopping into new styles of clothing? Because that's a new color, my friend.
And green is my favorite color.
Yeah, no, I get a lot of messages asking for forest green, and I'm like, wow, like this
It's a good
is
colour.
It's a
Yeah.
great colour.
It's a great.
Thank you.
You can put it anywhere. I really want, like, if I ever get an apartment, like forest green walls and all, like, stuff like that. It look beautiful. Or I just hang Shlama merch across the wall. That's
Not a bad
forest
idea.
green. But yeah, sorry. Back to the question.
So I'm sampling collection Khamsha right now. I did say that right.
Yes.
Okay, good. Everyone says Khamsha. I am sampling collection Khamsha right now. This is one of the samples. What do you guys like this?
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan.
Okay, I think I'm leaning towards it. I'm just trying to get the color palette right now, like, right and finalized before I start shooting and announcing things. Because this is one of the colors, but there's gonna be two more.
Can we get what's it called?
A hint?
Not a hint, actually.
Pre-release.
No, not a pre-release. What is it?
I don't know.
A first. You heard it here first. Kind of drop.
Oh, like
The
an
colours.
announcement.
An announcement. Could you say it or no?
Could you tell us the colours, or are you still not sure?
I can't say. I feel like that ruins the fun. Guys, by the way, I booked my convention ticket literally yesterday, so I'm coming to convention.
Are they able to get your stuff at convention
Yeah.
this year?
Nice.
Smashed it.
I've also booked a convention ticket, so I'll be hitting the Shlama store, getting some fresh garms.
Jason's just wearing Shlama the whole time.
Yeah, from head to toe, bro. Hat right down to my socks.
Kuldana.
Okay, so fair enough. Okay, how about this? Is a great question, I think. If I do say so myself. If you had to give any advice to anyone who's starting up a clothing line, not even necessarily like Assyrian related, but anyone who's trying to get into this sort of space, because I feel like it's becoming quite popular, what would you, one piece of advice.
Just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, just get started. It's definitely brought me a lot closer to the Assyrian community as a whole. Like, because growing up, like, I just had my immediate community of reach, and, like, now that I'm kind of connected globally, it's sort of like, oh, no matter where I go, like, I'm an Assyrian. And, like, I used to think, like, oh, because I'm not pure, like, I'm not, like, I'm not a true Assyrian. No. I believe that we all get to a point in life as Assyrians where, like, our parents are not going to tell us to do certain things. Like, they're not going to tell us to speak Surith. They're not going to tell us to, like, make certain foods. They're not going to tell us to dance at weddings or to go pray in Surith. Like, those are all things done by choice. And, like, I want to say when I started learning Surith, and even, like, a couple years down the line, and even when starting Shlama apparel, like, this is my way of preserving my identity as an Assyrian. And it's like, being Assyrian is a choice. It's not just your blood. Because, like, again, like, back in high school, like, if I graduated and, like, I still had that same old mindset of, like, oh, I want nothing to do with, like, being Chaldean and stuff, I could have just gone off the rails and become a completely different person. But it was my choice to say, like, okay, let's learn Surith, like, let's get more into history, and let's start this brand.
Woo.
That was great.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was a really good answer.
That was great, because I wanted to go back to that point, and because when you said at the beginning, and it's played in my mind, that's why I kept thinking about it, is I didn't feel fully Assyrian because one of your parent is Assyrian.
Yeah.
But for me, and over the past few years, it's even if it's just one parent or a grandparent or a great grandparent who's Assyrian, it counts, and we're all fully Assyrian. And it's going back to your point just now, which I think was amazing, is you've tapped into that and you have made that choice that you want to go into your culture and learn more, and openly saying that you've done a lot more for our community for being half Assyrian, not feeling fully Assyrian, than a lot of Assyrians. So you need to give yourself credit for that.
Yeah, because I think everyone likes to be claiming that they're Assyrian when it's when it suits them and when it caters to them. But like the contributions and the efforts you've made as an individual and as a brand towards the community is very admirable, and a lot of people should look up to the likes of you and all these other people that we kind of spoken about briefly throughout this episode. But I think, yeah, you need to give yourself more credit and, you know, props, because I think it takes a lot of confidence to open up a brand and to run a brand, and for it to be successful is a challenge. It's a massive challenge. But like, you at Shlama Apparel are well renowned amongst other people. Like, if anyone mentions it in conversation, 90% of the people will know immediately without even having to think about it who you are and who the brand is.
90% of people?
I'd say most people on social. I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of creators that you work with, and the way you market and your strategy is like, you know, influencer marketing to an extent, and also just like it's got surat. It's our language. It's like a very easy way for people to be able to feel associated to our culture and ethnicity and flex it. You know.
I think, sorry, and this goes back to one of you asked, like, what's the future of Shlama Apparel? I'm making it a goal for myself to kind of put myself out there more on the page and even on my website, just because I feel like it's a lot of, like, my models and my influencers and, like, my best friend Stella. And it's not a lot of me, and I think in the beginning I was just sort of afraid to like put myself out there. I was very much okay with like bringing these great people together and like creating this like community with like me kind of like in the background. But I think, you know, it's almost 2 years and I am sort of ready now to put myself out there a bit more.
That's good. And I think like events like convention and stuff help with that, right? Because, you know, you're connecting with Suraya all the time, and like people are you know, they know it's you that runs the brand. You're the person on the stall selling the clothes, right? So people are starting to get recognition of, you know, of who you are, and now with social media that will drive you to do more. But I think it's great as a I didn't know if someone was crying or choking outside. Sorry about that.
Someone's dying outside, but it's okay. Let's keep it rolling.
Welcome to London. I think I've lost my point. No, it's good that you're getting yourself out there more and like representing the brand as Sam. And it's
People need to hear that story. I think it's nice. I explained
it's
to my
like
mum.
a nice quick story. There is one thing of recognition I think I should like give out, because like this all wouldn't have happened if it weren't for like my best friend Stella. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so the way this all happened was because, do you remember COVID? Like, do you remember when COVID like
what was COVID?
When COVID spread essentially, and like the whole world shut down and we were all in home, like I don't know how it was in the UK, but in Canada, like
Similar.
we were in isolation for like 3 months.
We still are.
And this it was April of 2020. I literally remember like the exact day and year it all happened. We were on FaceTime, and Stella goes, you know, Surith is like the language Jesus spoke. And I was like, huh? And I think it was like 18 or 19 at the time. No, I was 18 at the time. And I was like, what? Like, really? And I'm doing a little bit of research, and I'm like, okay, wait, this is true. Like, Jesus spoke Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek. I think there's a fourth one, but don't quote me on that. And I never, like at the time, I didn't like being Chaldean.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found that fact out, like alone, like by itself, I was like, okay, if this is a dying language, and this is like the language Jesus spoke, and like there are 2 books in the Bible that are written in Surith, like there will eventually come a time where nobody can read these scriptures because we're not doing our job in maintaining like the literacy. So if I want my kids to learn this language, I gotta learn. So then it was we were on FaceTime, and I'm like, you know what? Let's learn Surat. Like, let's do it. And I remember, like, she was like, okay, like, what do you want to know? And I'm like, okay, how do you say, oh, what was it? How do you say shoes? Because although, like, I didn't know Surat growing up, like, my dad would, like, say certain words or phrases to me that I remember, but, like, some of them were correct, some of them were sort of modified, and then some of them were just, like, straight up baby language. Like, I remember, I would ask Stella, like, okay, how do you say shoes? And she'd be like, Bundare. And I'd be like, oh, when I was a kid, my dad would say, papu. Like, oh, Samantha, like, put on your, like, papu. And, like, that's how I remember shoes, like, to be. Oh, and I think I remember, earlier in the episode, I mentioned how I used to call my dad, like, babu. Because, like, as a kid, like, that's just what I would always refer to him as. And then I remember, like, on this FaceTime call, I'm telling Stella this, and I'm like, yeah, I used to call my dad Babu, and she goes, that means his dad, not dad.
Oh, Babu.
Yeah. But, yeah, a lot of learning curves. It was literally just a process of me, like, asking her, like, a whole list of, like, questions and words, like, oh, how do you say dog? How do you say cat? How do you say, like, I'm full? How do you say I'm good? How do you say, like, we would pick a topic, like, we'd pick, like, clothes, for instance, and I'd be like, okay, how do you say, like, shirt? How do you say shorts? How do you say good way? Like, you know, and that was a process that we stuck with for 6 months. And then eventually I switched to my cousin. And this is the same cousin who's, like, my khiga yaqora partner. And it was, like, I would tell her everything Stella taught me, and she'd be like, whoa, okay. 50% of what you said is, like, the way we'd say it, but then the other 50%, like, okay, we need to switch this. We need to put you more on the Umraya side. Like,
where's Stella from?
Mariaco. Yeah.
Ikea Mariaco.
To be honest, I don't really know demographically, like, where it is. I know it doesn't exist anymore. Umrah doesn't exist anymore.
So, Iraq? Or?
Yeah, in Iraq. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. What the dialect would be. I mean, this kind of goes back to the Surah dialect challenges that you made.
I know. Sorry, back to the story.
Yeah, sorry.
So, 6 months with Stella, and then I switched over to my cousin, and then a lot of time goes by, and then we're in summer of 2021, and then I'm like, okay, there's all this research, like, on Assyrian history. We were the first to adopt Christianity. We have invented libraries. Like, we were one of the first empires, like, in the world. We have, like, 6,700 years, like, worth of history. What else? Like,
built the wheel.
Beer. We've created clocks. Like, the list goes on, and it's like, why are we not recognized? Like, why is this not being taught in schools? And it made me mad. Like, it made me mad back in summer of 2021. And there's this phrase that I hear over and over again, and I still, like, hear it over and over again today. It's, like, be the change you want to see in the world. And, like, for me, I want my kids to grow up in a world where they know Surat, and they can tell people they're Assyrian, and people will just know what that is. Like, people aren't going to be like, oh, like, what's that? Like, no, like, back to Shlama and Pearl's vision. A world where people know who the Assyrians are. It serves my inner child, it serves our community, and it serves, like, the future generations.
You're coming with bars today, man. This is some crazy.
Be real after real.
No, honestly, I think your description and perception of, like, how you want to impact the community is, like, it's beautiful the way you described it, and it's very admirable. And like, any new brands that come up, or any young Assyrians that are sort of listening and tuning into this, will hopefully have the same mentality and approach that you put towards contributing towards the community. So thank you for your wisdom. You got a lot of wisdom, and, like, your passionate words, and it's very inspiring to hear, like, how much you're contributing as a brand, not only from, like, a visual awareness perspective, but like the deeper core behind Shlama Apparel and like your ethos as a brand and as Sam, you know. So thank you for sharing it with us. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm thinking the Gabarta.
I think she's pretty much answered the Gabarta
herself.
Not herself. Yeah,
No.
her friend. Well, she could change it to me.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'll let you do.
how much you're aware of how we end these. How we initiate them with our quick fire. We end a lot of these episodes, or majority of them, with a Gabara or the Gabarta of the episode, which our esteemed guest would provide us someone they want to shout out specifically, who's been a major impact in their life, either recently or throughout their whole life.
Well, I mean, I already shouted her out, but I love Stella. I love Stella to death. Like, my life literally went 180 because of her. And, like, it's just so crazy to me to think, like, who I was prior to COVID. COVID was awful, I can't lie. But it did make me the person I am today and the person you're talking to right now. Like, we probably would have never met, like, if I didn't take that, like, first step in, like, learning Surat. And Stella was really the person to, like, get me on track. And, you know, although I didn't feel like I belonged, like, in my community for, like, a really long time, like, Stella never made me feel that way. And, like, she was actually able to, like, help me, like, get on the right path and stuff. And, yeah.
Hadia, her head must be massive from the amount that Samantha spoke.
Is she going to be at convention?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Tell her to.
Just
We have
signing
to see her.
autographs.
So a
convention.
comment in the comment section if you're going.
Yeah, let us know, to be fair. It'd be
Because,
good to know.
yeah.
Because Shlama Apparel will be there. So,
Get your stuff before they leave. They get sold out.
She gets, like, immediate access. Oh, are you talking about Stella or are you talking about Nasha?
I was talking about General Nasha. Like,
Oh,
to
okay.
watch out
I thought
for
you were talking about Stella. I was like, this girl gets,
yeah,
like,
no, I mean, she can ask for it. But
she just, like...
She can pay too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll call it there.
We'll call it there.
But-
Is there anything else you want to say? Anything? Plug it even more. When's everything dropping? The latest drop?
I don't have a date.
I don't think Samantha knows either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway,
Let me go back to Canada and just, like, reevaluate. Like,
Yeah.
we'll
my
come
life.
to you with a drop date when Samantha tells us the drop date, and then we'll share it with you all.
But link for Shlama Apparel is
in the bio.
In the
yeah.
bio, in the comments.
my website is closed until June 2nd. I think that's what I said. Or
The
just
website will be in the link in the bio after June 2nd when it relaunches. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, interacting, engaging. And a massive thank you, Sam, for coming through and telling us your story and your journey.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, no. This was worth the flight.
Yeah, now we have to fly back today. Yay!
Yeah. I was like, we'll let the security know that
Yeah.
that we're ready to take
Hey,
it.
how about
Sorry? no, I'm joking. Until next time, thanks for watching,
you.
and Khalid Dada will be
Posh
seeing you
Shlama.
guys soon.
Pushum Shana.
Yalla, see you.
Posh Shlama.
Yalla, bye.
Yalla bye.
Yalla, see
Yalla
you.
bye bye.
Yalla, bye.
Yalla
Bye,
bye
bye.
bye.
Yalla, bye. Yalla, Shlama. Yalla.
Yalla bye.
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 Taucho de ricada que le juabe Bebi miskin
Ah.
durbene o akin sevana Taucho de